Years ago, I was listening to this podcast about a guy tell a story about being in prison, how he ended up there. It wasn't one bad decision, it was a series of small bad decisions that compounded over time until one day he murdered someone and lost his freedom. What struck me was he didn't sound like some monster. He was just some normal guy that never learned to control his passions. There's a scripture that talks about that, and it says, "See that you bridle all of your passions, that you may be filled with love." You know, Notice something important. It doesn't say quench, put out your passions. It says to bridle them. Bridle doesn't mean to kill the horse's power, it means to steer it. Passion isn't the enemy, uncontrolled passion is. The anger, the desire, the pride, the impulses. When they run free, they can destroy lives. When they're bridled, they can be directed towards something good. And the scriptures give us a surprising reason why this matters. So, bridle all your passions, that you may be filled with love. Why does controlling passion lead to love? Because real love isn't a feeling. Love is a willingness to suffer for somebody else. But when you're ruled by emotion, anger, lust, or pride, you can't think clearly. Have you ever heard someone say, I was so upset, I couldn't even think straight? And that's exactly what happens. Strong emotions cloud your judgment. But love requires clarity. It requires discipline. It requires choosing what's right, even when it costs you something. That's why bridling your passions matter. And here's the truth. How often do you control this passion? It's all the time, 100%. You can't say, well, 99% of the time I'm good. You can't tell the bank, I only missed one mortgage payment once a year. If you did, eventually your house would be gone. Or imagine if saying to a spouse, I'm a good person, 99% of the time I only cheated once. Or I only murdered once. Some mistakes change everything. God asks us to strive for goodness all the time, to the best of our knowledge, to become like Him. How would we feel if God was good 99% of the time? That would be not good. We're meant to grow into His character, so bridle your passions, not to become weak, but to become strong enough to steer your life in the right direction. A man who masters his passion is one who can truly love.